Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and today we're going to be reading your tea leaves. So we begin the reading with the energy of the Four of Swords. Now, every reading I pull a card as I'm setting up, and the Four of Swords, this very airy energy, is all about truth. Okay, what does that mean? Truth. It is a stoppage to whatever's going on, right? The conflict. And it feels like it is. It's some kind of, mental gymnastics. It is bickering. It is one-upping each other. It is getting the last word. It is just can't find common ground. Just can't stop self from having to say a little something, right? But then we get to the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords says, all right now, Cancer, it is time to chill out a little bit. It's time to, agree to disagree. Maybe it's time to separate a little, get a little distance from one another, calm down, come to your senses, this kind of energy. So I'm not sad to see it. Now, the date today is October 3rd, 2025, and this will be coming out on October 4th, 2025. These readings are timeless. Okay, what does that mean? Whenever you watch it, it is activated. But I'm putting the times on here so you know when it was recorded, okay? Because you might hear this like 6 months from now. Who knows? But I feel, anyways, that it is important to know the context in which the reading was done, at least to some degree. All right. Well, thank you for clicking on the reading. I'm so excited to kind of feel what is going on with Cancer today. After all, you are one of my favorite signs. And, the world is a little bit jumbly. A little bit. What is that game? I don't even think it was a game, but I know that it was around when I was a kid, and it was really just to keep us busy. But it was, I forget what they even called it, but you just throw all the cards on the ground and then see who can pick up the most cards. Was that a game? I don't know. Did you ever? Was that just something that I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, was that actually a game, or was it just something that my family did? I don't know. But it does. It feels like a jumble of things, right? Just all over the place. Just, you don't know if you're coming or going, right? So, to find a little bit of ease in the energy is not a bad thing, right? I'm excited to see, how this kind of plays out. So if you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. I'm so interested in, I maybe some of you haven't heard about it, but it's this interstellar comet thing. They don't really know what it is, but it's called 3I Atlas. And you've probably seen it in the YouTube recommendations somewhere if you're into any kind of space or the sciences, or even like UFOs and that kind of stuff. I'm interested to hear what people are thinking about it. Honestly, I know it doesn't have a lot to do with the reading, but I've been really watching the celestial news lately. Because I don't know, this one really has interested me from the beginning of, well, what was it, in July, I suppose. I think I heard about it in August. Okay, so we do have the Saturn, Kronos, Death archetype right here. You can see the scythe, and it is raised up high. Look at that. Usually he does not carry it that way. But we have another scythe over here. Look at that. Here is the figure of death, or Kronos, or Saturn as God figure. And this is all about time. It's about mortality. It's about, realizing that you're getting older, realizing that your life has changed. But it's also about, coming to these realizations that even if time is a construct, or, and I can't even begin to imagine what that means, right? If time is not real, or maybe it is, maybe it's a fundamental, aspect of the universe. I'm not sure. I have no idea, to be honest. But we come to a point in our life where we realize that it goes by so fast. And we start to consider all of these times in our lives where we've lended time to things that really did not deserve our time, or where maybe we perceive it to be misused time. And so I feel like this is a real symbol of your intentionality, right? You are coming into a place in your life where you are unwilling to do things that you do not want to do. You are unwilling to, kind of just endure stuff that you don't want to be participating in, right? Here, my example is traffic, right? I'm from California. I grew up in the Sacramento area. For the most part. I lived up in the mountains as well for a while, but I know traffic all too well. I spent a lot of my childhood in traffic, around traffic. And over the years, I have moved to more and more rural communities, or now just out in the middle of a cornfield. And something I am unwilling to go back to is sitting in traffic, spending hours of my life sitting behind the wheel of a car, waiting, and also being highly overstimulated. I don't like the feeling of being stuck somewhere. So, I think it's different for each of us, right? You might be somebody who enjoys being in traffic. I know plenty of people who really look forward to their commute because they're listening to books. You might be listening to this right now. You might be, contemplating, being creative, going through the interior of your mind while also staying alert enough to be driving, of course. But I do feel like this is a place where you're acutely aware and you're not willing. You're just not willing to squander any more time, effort, any of that stuff. Now, I'm going to turn this. Now we have the number 63. And I have almost a sense of kind of like a realization that things have changed. Now, we have these people, and they look like they're arguing. I mean, here's one arm out, kind of these motion lines. We have a person here, arm out. And I feel like it's almost kind of like what I imagine it would be to maybe be like married for a long time, or over, a span of at least, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever. Somewhere where things have, happened. You've had big moments. You've had periods of, just kind of going through the motions and so on and so forth. So there have been seasons, right? I feel like for you, you have been maybe so focused on whatever it is that you have been building, maybe that's your household, your work, maybe you are creative, you've been working on projects, you have hobbies, you've been building that up, whatever it is, whatever thing has really been your hyper focus. And it has been for a while, because I feel like for whatever reason, you have been jolted back into reality. And I mean like a shared space. So this feels almost like home, right? Or your family life, or, more of the culture of your workspace rather than the work itself. And I need to get a drink of water here. So I do feel like all of a sudden you're very aware of what's going on around you. Where I feel like you have maybe just been completely oblivious, or you're aware, but it's like, I don't know, almost like there's a detachment there. Well, when you're coming into, your presence, I guess, you're like waking up. I almost kind of feel like in my mind, I'm like imagining, like on Star Trek where they're like beaming them in and they're like materializing. That's what you kind of are coming back into, like, oh, shoot, oh, look at this. I have a human body. Look at oh yeah, I have a life here where I like exist as a person, and I have things to do and and it does. Sometimes when we come out of these like periods of time where we're just doing the stuff, and we have these like sacred spots in our spheres or our life, right, that we are being pulled into. So that is, again, like those hyper focuses, those places where we're getting dopamine, serotonin, a sense of love, ecstasy, fulfillment, the flow, the creativity. And you can get really, really lost in that. And as you come out of it and you start to see, yeah, it looks like there's a mess. There's a mess at hand. Okay. I feel to some degree, and I'm not disparaging you, Cancer, because I love you. I love you so much. And you're wonderful. You are. But I feel like you've been emotionally unavailable. And I think that's the big thing. You've been kind of just cut off. And I think that you have people in your life who love you greatly. And they're willing to be there and stick around. They know you, of course, right? You go through these cycles of kind of going into yourself and disappearing into your own world. And that's fine. That's okay. I think for the most part, the people in your life are very understanding. But I feel like in this situation, maybe it has been such a length of time, or, there have been some conflicts that have arisen because of this or within this. And I feel like you are coming into a place that is kind of destabilized. Okay. Like you haven't been paying attention or whatever. And now you're paying attention and you're seeing like, okay, things have changed. Like the people around me have been living their lives and, doing things and maybe even growing and finding, connections outside of this core unit. And I'm not trying to say anybody's cheating. Let me just be clear about that. But I feel like, yeah, it's kind of like noticing, like, oh, all of a sudden my spouse is, has these different interests and is involved in their own stuff. And I haven't even noticed that they were, not doing the same old, or that, they had suddenly taken up all these new things and are around new people and have, whatever, and maybe new friends or whatever it is. Now, I don't think that this is something that is super worrisome to you, aside from the fact that there is conflict waiting, but there's also a sense of, I maybe feeling some guilt, feeling like you've been missing, the whole reason that you work so hard, the whole reason that you're here, manifest as a human being, to have the life that you've built, to be with the people that you love, and to have some kind of connection on a deeper level, right? And it feels like, you are awakening to the fact that you have been gone, and people around you maybe have had to, prioritize themselves, I guess, and so not all is lost. And I don't think that this is something that is, you can't work on it. Of course you can. We also have what looks like a bird rising here, and we have within it, it looks like a heart. I'm going to go with heart. So I do feel like this is maybe kind of your wake-up call, right? This is like, okay, let's get our stuff kind of in order, right? Not because anything is like direly wrong, but it's like you wake up and you think, man, I got to get it together. I don't know. I almost kind of, the feeling I get is almost kind of, it reminds me of like when I used to drink way back in the day. I don't drink at all anymore. It's the big opiates and drinking. Those are the things I absolutely cannot partake in. Drinking, because I don't know. I am possessed. Whatever things live within me, they come right out, and I am taken into different realms. Like, not in a fun way either. Not in a fun way. But what it reminds me of, this feeling, is almost kind of like when you wake up the next morning after maybe partaking too much, and maybe even blacking out to some degree, but you wake up and nothing is wrong necessarily, that you are in bed and you're safe and everything is where it should be, but there is the feeling of, why did I let that get the best of me, first of all, but also kind of a guilt or a fear of what could have happened, or maybe something did happen and I don't remember, and these kinds of, like, it's just I don't know, it's a very specific feeling that I am and I feel like you have some regret, some remorse around this. Now, I don't think that it's, like I said, it's not the end of the world, but it is this kind of like soft wake-up call of like, okay, now we got to lock back in. We got to maybe like do some inventory, right? Look at the situation and realistically as it is, and reformulate, like, what is it that I really want, in especially like in the waking world, versus maybe the interior work and that kind of thing. But I think there's a sense of reassessing and trying to get locked back in, right, towards like your goals and how you want to actually be living, and being engaged. I think that's the big thing, is being engaged with the people around you. I think that's so important to you. Okay. Now we have the number 17 or 77. I mean, it looks like an upside down 7 and then a 7 here, but 77 or 17. We also have LT, music, We have a smile. And I feel that there's smile is, and then there's a split down the face. So it's like, and we're going to use the oracle cards for some clarification here. I feel that there is a real sense of realizing that you've got, I mean, it's the big thing is you've gotten off track. And I'm not saying that, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying, I have no idea what your story is or your, situation, but I just cannot kick this feeling that is coming through that it's just like I've made so many mistakes. I had this idea of what I wanted. Somehow I've gotten so off course and I've been like devoted to staying off course, kind of, like you start to get traction in this life that you had started building, and it doesn't really resemble that like true will or that like ultimate meaning that you like assigned to your life, and you're living kind of at times in a way that feels inauthentic, right? But you're doing well. So you double down, right? You lock into that and you keep going with that and you keep going with that. And it's getting you further and further away from what feels natural, what feels right to you. And I feel that there's this certain amount of, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? Like, how did I find myself in this place? I really wanted whatever it is, right? Whatever your vision is. But I'm maybe having trouble getting back there. Okay. Or, looking at what you have built, it's kind of like, well, how do I give all this up? Or how do I change this because it's going the way that I want it to? Or, it's whatever. Maybe you started a business, or, your work life is going really well. Or maybe like you married somebody that you don't love. You're not in love with them, but you are good together, right? You're fine domestically. You get along. You might be able to check out for a year and a half, and everybody around you like misses you and stuff, but they keep going and they move on with their lives, and they're still there. They're not gonna like leave, but they have their own things going on, and you realize like, I'm not even living in my own life. I've built this thing and I can't even be a part of it. And at some point, the people that I, have this like unit with, this life with, these friends, these family members, these, whatever, it's not that they dislike you or hate you or it's resentment or anything, but, they've had to like live their lives as well. And I feel that, you're becoming aware that you have to make a choice to either, kind of fix some of this stuff and like become more involved, especially on an emotional level, or not, right? I mean, or just keep going the way that you are. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people would be happy just to have, a partner that they're not arguing with. Forget all the romance and the like attraction and the belovedness and the, whatever. Just to have somebody where you're not fighting all the time, or you have a similar belief system or ethics or, whatever. But I think for you, you're a very feeling person, and I don't know that you're willing to, give up the deep connection, Like, you might get kind of distracted from all of that and busy in your life and your focuses, but, you know, I can see that there is care. Like, you do care. It's not, you're not an uncaring person. So let's go ahead and see. We're going to see how do things kind of play out in this next week. Okay. So we have negotiation. We have manipulation. And we have convention. Okay. Empathy. Inheritance. Independence. Okay. So to me, it feels very much like we have this feeling of, I feel like it's almost kind of, you want to live this almost a kind of conventional lifestyle. Now, I don't mean in like the nuance of things, but I think fundamentally, right? Maybe it's like, you know, job, marriage, kids, grandkids, retirement, you know, the whole like whatever manufactured dream storyline, right? That we all have been conditioned with. And I feel like at times, right, you have had to really, you've had to really kind of like almost brainwash yourself into believing that the conventional lifestyle is what you want. And like all other parts of you are saying, like, I'm living an unconventional, I'm not, you know, you're not a conventional person. You might appear to be one. You might dress like one. You might speak like one. You might have the, you know, sedate mannerisms of one, or, you know, like the warm, fatherly, motherly, you know, approachable, conventional veneer or mask, right? And you're good at showing that one off, right? But the reality is you are constantly shifting and reforming yourself and manipulating yourself into fitting into this vision that you have of like, if I can be like this, I'm good. This, you know, and maybe it is like ethically good, morality good, or, you know, I'm succeeding. I'm, you know, doing above and beyond of what I had set out to do. So therefore, you know, it's all good. It's all how I want it to be. And yet, you know, in your core place, in that heart of hearts, that you are not living in your authenticity. You are not fooling anybody, but, you know, or, well, it's not about fooling people. I mean, most people don't. Listen, nobody cares what we're doing. We think that people care what we're up to, what we're doing, like how many initiations we've been through, how many degrees we have, how many big words we know, how many concepts we can spew into a conversation. No, nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares, ultimately. And that's freedom, by the way. But yeah, so I feel like you've been negotiating with yourself, and, you know, ultimately, though, you're an empathetic being. You're an empathetic being. You are a clairvoyant of some kind. I already know it. You're a Cancer. It's obviously, you know, probably something like premonition. You know, you can feel people's energies. You know, maybe, you might be somebody that can tell when people are sick, you know, I like can do body scans and that kind of thing. And you're just a very in tune person. Do you love that? Probably not. It is inherited. It comes through your family. Oops, that's the wrong one. But here, ultimately, your independence, that's the thing, man. That's the thing for you Cancers, is that I don't care how you shake it. A Cancer, and I love you all. I'm married to a Cancer, after all. Is kind of like a kid in that you have to make them think that they came up with the idea. And I'm talking about you guys. I'm saying all of us that are not, don't have major Cancer placements, when we are close to a Cancer, when we are, we care about you. How could you not care about a Cancer? You guys are the best. But yeah, sometimes you do. You have to like plant the seed and then make them decide, make you guys decide, and make it your own idea, because then you'll be 100% on board, right? If I come up with the idea, it's just a no. Like, that's not going to work. Gotta wait for you to come around to the idea. So, yeah, your independence always, always, always needs to be honored, is number one. Absolutely. All right, let's do our lucky numbers, and then we're going to get out of here. I do not feel the best today. I was out. Number 18 is number one. 18 is the first lucky number. Yesterday, my daughter she went to go ride horse, and number 32, and I was out there with her, and they're reaping the fields now, and I literally do live in a cornfield, and the dust, I'm just wrecked. I am so wrecked from it. Number 53. 53. Also, we have those, if you are from anywhere that has a lot of agriculture in the, Midwest, I would suppose you're from, we have these things called minute pirate bugs. They're called no-see-ums in this area of the northern Midwest, and they're little tiny bugs that bite, and they don't like leave a welt like a mosquito, but they hurt so bad. And they are out in full force because it's been so warm, right? And so they have not been, put to the final slumber with a nice freeze. But between the two, yesterday was kind of a torture being outside. Okay, here we go. We have, I am open to love and to love. Let me start again. I am open to love, and love flows through me. I am open to love, and love flows through me. Absolutely. All right, Cancer. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please take care of yourself. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Other than that, we'll talk in a few days. Good night. Good night. Good night.